The Forgotten Outpost. The red-tinged light of Proxima Centauri b cast long shadows across Nova Station's main plaza as Commander Elena Reyes completed her daily ritual. For 7 years since communication with Earth had mysteriously ceased, she had transmitted the same message into the vast emptiness of space. Nova Station still operational. 83 survivors. Resources critical. Please respond. Elena removed her headset and massaged her temples. The communication center, once the pride of humanity's farthest research outpost, was now a weathered structure whose equipment was covered in the purple dust that seemed to infiltrate everything on this planet. A digital counter on her console silently ticked over to 2,557, the number of consecutive days she had sent her message with no response. Still talking to ghosts. Chief Engineer Marcus Webb appeared in the doorway, his once pristine uniform now patched and faded. Elena sighed. Someone has to keep trying. Marcus handed her a steaming cup of what passed for coffee now, a bitter brew made from native plants that tasted just close enough to remind them of Earth. Director Chen wants everyone in the assembly hall tonight, he said. The hydroponics system in Dome 3 is failing again. We need to make some decisions before the winter cycle. Elena nodded. Nova Station had been established as Earth's most ambitious extraterrestrial research outpost 12 years ago. 121 scientists, engineers, and support staff sent to study a potentially habitable exoplanet. The supply ships were scheduled to arrive every 9 months. Then the communications about political unrest had arrived, fragmented reports of conflicts that seemed distant from their corner of space. Then nothing. I'll be there, Elena said. Just let me shut down for the night. Marcus left, and Elena began the careful process of powering down the communications array. Power was precious now with only 3 functioning fusion generators and increasingly limited deuterium reserves. As she flipped the final switches, a light flashed on her console, something that hadn't happened in 7 years. The signal detector was registering an object in orbit. Elena's heart pounded as she quickly reversed the shutdown procedure, powering everything back up. She adjusted frequencies, checking and rechecking to ensure it wasn't equipment malfunction or a passing asteroid. Please be Earth, she whispered. Please. The signal strengthened, and Elena worked frantically to clean it up and identify its source. When the computer finally displayed the results, she froze. The signal patterns didn't match any human design. Elena's hand trembled as she reached for the station-wide communication system. Director Chen, she said, struggling to keep her voice steady. You need to come to the comm center immediately. 30 minutes later, the small room was crowded with Nova Station's leadership. Director Lion Chen, once a distinguished astrophysicist and now the station's leader by necessity, studied the readouts with a deep frown. You're certain it's not one of ours? She asked. Positive, Elena replied. The signal structure is entirely different. And look at the mass readings. She pointed to a radar display. It's enormous, at least 4 times larger than any Earth vessel on record. Could it be allies? Asked Dr. Rajiv Patel, their medical officer. Maybe Earth made first contact during our isolation. Security Chief Gabriela Diaz shook her head. She still carried her standard-issue pulse rifle from their early days, one of the few functional weapons they had left. After 7 years of silence, I'm not betting on friends. Dr. Kenji Takahashi, their xenobiologist, leaned forward to study the readouts. Whether they're friendly or not, we need to consider what this means. He didn't need to finish the thought. With limited weapons and no defensive capabilities beyond the magnetic shielding designed for solar radiation, Nova Station would be defenseless against any serious attack. We need to prepare for all possibilities. Director Chen decided. Elena, keep monitoring their communications. See if you can learn anything. Gabriela, organize your security team. Marcus, what can we repurpose for defense if needed? Not much, Marcus admitted. We could reconfigure some of the geological cutting lasers, but they're designed for research, not combat. Do what you can, Chen said. Everyone else, we inform the station, but calmly. No panic. We don't know anything concrete yet. As the others filed out, Alina remained at her console, scanning all frequencies for any hint of communication from the mysterious vessel. Night fell, and Proxima Centauri b disappeared below the horizon, leaving the station illuminated only by its own lights and the glow of the planet's 3 small moons. Power systems automatically dimmed to conservation levels, but the communication center stayed fully operational. Just past midnight, Alina's console lit up again. They're moving, she announced to Director Chen, who had stayed with her, coming into lower orbit. They watched in tense silence as the radar tracked the vessel's approach. It wasn't heading directly for Nova Station, but appeared to be conducting a survey of the planet. They're scanning us, Alina said, pointing to new signal patterns. Comprehensive scans, atmosphere, geography, and she pointed to a particular reading. They're focusing intensely on the station now. Chen's face was grim in the blue glow of the screens. So they know we're here. The internal communication system crackled to life. Gabriella's voice came through, tense and urgent. Chen, Alina, you need to get outside now. They rushed out of the communication center and into the cool night air. Other station personnel were emerging from their quarters and workspaces too, all looking up at the night sky. There, visible even without telescopes, was a light moving across the heavens, far too large and bright to be a star or moon. My God, whispered Marcus, who had joined them. It's really happening. Alina felt a strange mixture of hope and fear. For 7 years, they had believed they were alone, forgotten. Now something had arrived. But what? The light grew brighter, and soon they could see it wasn't just one light, but many. A massive ship with countless illuminated sections moving through the darkness. It passed over Nova Station once, bathing them in an eerie green glow for several seconds, then continued to the horizon. It's circling the planet, Alina said, making a full survey before deciding what to do with us. Gabriella added grimly, or to us. As dawn approached, the station's residents gathered in the assembly hall. Few had slept. Director Chen stood before them, projecting a confidence Alina suspected she didn't feel. We don't know who they are or what they want, she told the assembled people, but we've survived 7 years against impossible odds. We'll face this together too. A young technician named Aisha raised her hand. What if they're hostile? What can we do against a ship that size? Before Chen could answer, Alina's communicator beeped urgently. She checked it, then looked up at the gathered colonists, her face pale. They're sending down a shuttle, she announced. ETA 18 minutes. The station personnel looked at each other in silence. 7 years of isolation had ended. First contact with an unknown species was minutes away. Director Chen squared her shoulders. Alina, Kenji, Gabriella, Rajiv, Marcus, with me. We'll meet them. Everyone else stays back, ready to evacuate to the emergency bunkers if anything goes wrong. As they walked toward the landing pad, once used for Earth shuttles that no longer came, Alina couldn't help but think of all her unanswered messages. For years, she had hoped someone would hear them. Now something had arrived, and she wasn't sure if that was a blessing or a curse. The alien shuttle appeared in the sky, larger than any human craft, descending slowly toward them in the light of the rising sun. Its design was sleek but strange, with curves and protrusions that seemed to defy conventional aerodynamics. Remember, Director Chen said quietly to the small welcome committee, we represent all of humanity here. Let's hope they come in peace. The shuttle touched down, sending up clouds of purple dust. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, with a soft hiss of equalizing pressure, a door slid open, and the visitors stepped out into the light of a new day on Proxima Centauri b. The aliens that emerged moved with a fluid grace that seemed impossible for their size. They stood nearly 8 feet tall with slender bodies covered in what appeared to be a form-fitting metallic material rather than clothing. Their skin was pale blue with iridescent patterns that shifted in the sunlight. Their faces were elongated with large, almond-shaped eyes that glowed amber, without pupils or whites. No hair was visible on their bodies. Elena counted 5 of them as they descended the ramp. 4 carried what were clearly weapons, long, curved devices held ready but not aimed directly at the humans. The 5th, who walked ahead of the others, wore more elaborate markings on its suit. Director Chen stepped forward, hands open at her sides to show she carried no weapons. "Welcome to Nova Station. We are a human research outpost. I am Director Lion Chen, the leader here." For a long moment, there was silence. The lead alien tilted its head slightly, studying Chen. Then it spoke in perfect, unaccented English. "We are the Comarin. I am Overseer Zeril. We received your distress signals." Elena felt her heart leap. They had heard her. All those years of sending messages hadn't been wasted. "You understood our communications?" she asked, stepping forward. The alien, Zeril, turned its glowing eyes toward her. "We have studied humans for some time. Your language is elementary." There was something in the way Zeril said this that made Elena uneasy, a slight inflection that seemed dismissive. "We're grateful for your response," Director Chen said carefully. "Our station has been without contact from Earth for 7 years." "Yes," Zeril said. "We are aware of your situation. The interplanetary conflict disrupted Earth's space capabilities. They have been unable to send assistance." Dr. Patel stepped forward. "You know about the conflict. Is it over? What happened to Earth?" Zeril's expression didn't change. Elena wasn't even sure if their faces could show emotion as humans understood it. But there was a pause before the alien answered. "The conflict ended 3 years ago. Earth survives, though damaged. They are recovering." Zeril gestured toward the station buildings. "We would see your settlement. We have resources that may be of use to you." Director Chen nodded, though Elena noticed her posture remained tense. "Of course, we'd be grateful for any assistance you can offer." As they walked back toward the station center, Elena fell in beside Kenji. "They speak our language perfectly," she whispered. "Doesn't that seem strange to you?" Kenji nodded slightly. "And they know about Earth, the conflict. How long have they been watching us?" The station's residents had gathered in the main plaza, staring with a mixture of awe and fear as the aliens walked among them. The Comarin moved with precision, their eyes constantly scanning, taking in every detail. "These structures are inefficient for this environment," Zeril commented, looking at the station buildings. "Your technology is rudimentary." "We've made do with what we have," Marcus said defensively. "Not easy with no supplies for 7 years." "Indeed," Zeril said. "Your survival shows adaptability. This is valuable." Elena didn't like the way the alien said valuable, as if assessing merchandise rather than people. The other Comarin had spread out, examining buildings, equipment, even the soil and plants. One approached a small group of children who had been kept back from the initial greeting. The young ones stared up at the towering alien with wide eyes. "Your offspring are physically underdeveloped," the Comarin stated, reaching out as if to touch young Aisha's head. Gabriela stepped between them quickly. "They're not used to visitors," she said, her hand resting casually near her holstered weapon. The Comarin withdrew its hand and stepped back, but Elena didn't miss the look it exchanged with Zeril. "We would examine your medical facilities," Zeril announced. "Our vessel carries supplies that may help your ill." "We don't have much of a medical center," Dr. Patel said, "but I can show you what we have." He led Zeril and one other Comarin toward the converted module that now served as the station's clinic. Director Chen gestured for Elena to go with them, while she continued showing the others around the settlement. Inside the clinic, Dr. Patel showed the aliens their limited medical equipment, most of it old and repaired multiple times. Zeril seemed particularly interested in the medical records Dr. Patel kept. "You have tracked physiological adaptations in your population?" the alien asked, looking at Dr. Patel's notes. "Yes," Dr. Patel said, hesitating slightly. "We've had to adapt to the higher radiation levels and atmospheric composition here. Some station residents developed health issues, but others seem to have developed resilience." "Fascinating," Zeril said, the glowing eyes revealing nothing. "We would like to conduct our own examinations. For your health." "That's not necessary," Dr. Patel said quickly. "I maintain regular checks on everyone." "Your equipment is inadequate," Zeril stated flatly. "We can detect conditions you cannot." Elena stepped forward. "Maybe later, we should rejoin the others." As they left the clinic, Elena noticed the second Cameron discreetly taking samples from the medicine cabinets Dr. Patel had shown them. She caught the doctor's eye, and his slight nod confirmed he'd seen it too. By midday, the Cameron had explored most of Nova Station. The residents had moved from fear to cautious hope, especially after 2 more shuttles arrived carrying containers of supplies, food, medicine, and components that might help repair some of their failing systems. "These are offerings," Zeril announced to the gathered residents, "to demonstrate our benevolent intentions." But as the day progressed, Elena noticed more and more things that bothered her. The Cameron asked detailed questions about the humans' biology, their adaptations to Proxima Centauri b, their reproductive rates. They scanned everything with devices the humans didn't understand, and they seemed far more interested in the people than in helping the station itself. That evening, while the station prepared a feast to welcome their visitors, Elena slipped away to the communication center. Something was nagging at her, and she wanted to check the signal records again. She was reviewing the data when Kenji found her. "Elena, you should join the others," he said. "The Cameron are going to tell us about Earth and how they can help us." "In a minute," Elena said, not looking up from her console. "There's something strange about their signals. When they first arrived, they broadcast on frequencies that match our standard emergency bands perfectly. But how would they know those frequencies if they weren't specifically looking for human settlements?" Kenji frowned. "Maybe they picked up our distress signals, like they said." "Maybe," Elena said, unconvinced. "But there's something else. When their main ship scanned us, it didn't just scan our station. It specifically focused on our genetic patterns. Why would rescuers care about our DNA before even meeting us?" Before Kenji could answer, the door opened, and one of the Camerons stood there, its tall frame filling the doorway. "You are required at the gathering," it stated. "Overseer Zeril has an announcement." Elena sate her work quickly and followed the alien back to the station center, where the residents had gathered around tables laden with the best food they could offer their visitors. Zeril stood at the head table beside Director Chen, waiting until silence fell before speaking. "People of Nova Station," the alien began, "we have assessed your situation. This outpost is not sustainable. Your equipment deteriorates. Your resources dwindle. Your population is too small for genetic viability." The station personnel looked at each other nervously. "Therefore," Zeril continued, "we offer you transport to a more suitable world. All of you will board our vessel tomorrow. We will take you to a planet better adapted for human habitation." "Leave Nova Station?" Director Chen asked, clearly surprised. "This has been our home for 12 years. It is a failing outpost," Zeril said flatly. "You will not survive another 3 years here." Elena spoke up, unable to contain her suspicion any longer. "Where exactly would you take us?" Zeril's amber eyes fixed on her. "To a settlement where other humans already reside. Those we have assisted before." "Other human colonies?" Dr. Patil asked. "You found others like us?" "Many," Zeril confirmed. "All now safe under Cameron protection." Elena felt a chill run through her at those words. Protection, or something else. "We need time to discuss this," Director Chen said carefully. "It's a significant decision." "There is nothing to discuss," Zerl stated. We will begin transport tomorrow. For your safety, all humans will undergo medical examination aboard our vessel first. Overseer's directive. As the station residents began to murmur among themselves, some excited, others worried, Elena caught Gabriella's eye across the room. The security chief gave a nearly imperceptible nod. Something was very wrong here, and they needed to find out what before tomorrow came. First contact. Night fell over Nova Station, but few slept. While most residents packed their meager belongings, preparing for what many hoped would be salvation, Belina met with a small group of trusted personnel in the deepest part of the mineral research lab. The lab, with its thick walls designed to contain potential volatile reactions, was one of the few places they could be reasonably certain the Cameron couldn't monitor. They're not here to help us, Alina said, keeping her voice low despite their precautions. I analyzed their communication patterns. The Cameron ship has been transmitting to coordinates that don't appear on any of our star charts. I found something too, Dr. Paddle said, pulling out his medical tablet. When they were examining our clinic, I noticed them collecting biological samples. Later, I checked their medical supplies. Some containers have human labeling on them, but not from our station. The implications hung heavy in the recycled air of the lab. Director Chen's face had grown increasingly pale as she listened. Other stations, Gabriella whispered. They said they've assisted others. I believe I know why they're particularly interested in us, Dr. Patil continued. My medical records show something unusual about our population. The radiation levels on Proxima Centauri b should have caused serious health problems years ago, but instead, about 60% of our people have developed resilience. Our DNA has adapted in a way that shouldn't be possible in a single generation. And the Cameron are very interested in DNA, Alina added. Marcus, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. While showing them around the engineering section, I saw one of them scanning our power distribution systems. When I asked what they were doing, they said they were checking if it was safe, but the device was focused on the fusion generator's control mechanisms, like they were checking what could be used as weapons. Gabriella nodded grimly. They posted guards at each shuttle. They say it's for our protection, but no one can approach them. And I overheard two Cameron talking when they thought no one was near. They mentioned processing beginning within one planetary rotation. Processing, Kenji repeated, not rescuing. What about Director Chen? Marcus asked. She was escorted to their shuttle for a private discussion about an hour ago. Chen's face hardened. I just returned. Overseer Zerl showed me images of what they claim is the human settlement we're being taken to. It looked perfect, too perfect, like a simulation rather than reality. What do we do? Dr. Patil asked. Most of the station is ready to board their ships tomorrow. They believe the Cameron story. We need proof, Alina said. Something concrete to show the others. I might know how to get it, Marcus said, pulling out a small device. I modified one of our atmospheric analyzers to intercept their communications. It's crude compared to their tech, but it might work if we get close enough to one of their shuttles. Gabriella checked her pulse rifle. I'll create a distraction. Marcus, you and Elena try to get readings. Kenji, Rajiv, you need to warn the people you trust. Quietly tell them to be ready to hide in the geological caves if needed. Director Chen nodded her approval. I'll try to delay the boarding process. Ask for more information about our destination. Be careful, all of you. If they truly are hostile, we can't risk showing our hand too early. Dawn brought increased activity to Nova Station. The Cameron moved with purpose, organizing the humans into groups, each assigned to a different shuttle. Their earlier politeness had hardened into efficiency, orders rather than requests. Belina and Marcus positioned themselves near the communication center, which gave them a view of the main landing area. Dr. Patel and Kenji moved quietly among the station residents, whispering warnings to those they trusted most. Gabriella approached the Cameron guard at the nearest shuttle, asking loud questions about the journey ahead, creating the distraction they needed. Marcus activated his modified scanner, pointing it toward the nearest Kamaran communication device. For several tense minutes, nothing happened. Then the scanner beeped softly. "I got something," Marcus whispered. "It's encrypted, but wait." His eyes widened as he adjusted settings. "This part isn't encrypted. It's... oh no." "What?" Elena demanded, keeping watch for approaching aliens. "It's a manifest. They're categorizing station residents by age, health markers, and genetic profiles." Marcus's voice shook. "And there's a section labeled Extraction Schedule." Elena felt cold despite the morning heat. "Can you access any visual data? Anything from their ship?" Marcus worked the controls frantically. "Maybe. Their systems are way beyond ours, but they might not expect us to even try." The small screen flickered, showing grainy images. At first, Elena couldn't make sense of what she was seeing. Then clarity struck like a physical blow. The images showed what could only be described as a laboratory. In that laboratory were containers, dozens of them, each holding what appeared to be a human suspended in some kind of clear liquid. "They're not rescuing stations," Elena whispered. "They're harvesting them." A shadow fell across them. Elena looked up to see a Kamaran guard standing over them, weapon raised. "This activity is unauthorized," the alien stated flatly. Before either could react, a pulse blast struck the Kamaran from behind. The alien staggered, luminescent blue fluid seeping from its torso where Gabriella's shot had struck. It didn't fall but turned toward the new threat. "Run!" Gabriella shouted, firing again. Chaos erupted as more Kamaran appeared, weapons drawn. Elena grabbed the scanner and raced toward the geological caves, Marcus close behind. Other station personnel, seeing the confrontation, either scattered in panic or stood frozen in shock. Dr. Patel appeared from between buildings, leading a group that included several children. "This way," he called, pointing toward the cave entrance. "We've prepared supplies inside." Not everyone ran. Some residents, either not believing the danger or too frightened to move, remained where they were. The Kamaran quickly surrounded them. Elena paused at the cave entrance, looking back at the station center where people were being herded onto shuttles. She wanted to help them, but what could she do against the Kamaran weapons? "Elena, come on," Marcus called from inside the cave. With a last look at the residents being taken, Elena ducked into the tunnel. 36 station personnel had made it to safety, less than half their total population. The rest were already in Kamaran hands. Deep in the geological caves, beneath layers of rock that blocked most scans, the escaped humans gathered in a large cavern once used for mineral storage. Emergency lights cast a dim glow over scared faces. "What do we do now?" young Aisha asked, her voice echoing slightly in the rocky chamber. "We fight back," Gabriella said grimly, checking her pulse rifle. She had only 3 charges left. Elena connected Marcus's scanner to their portable geological analyzers. "First, we need to know exactly what we're dealing with. Marcus, can you clean up these images?" As Marcus worked, Dr. Patel organized their supplies. They had food and water for perhaps 4 days, basic medical equipment, and research tools that could serve as weapons if necessary. "I've got it," Marcus announced after 30 minutes of work. "The signal is clearer now." Everyone gathered around the small screen. The images from the Kamaran ship were now much sharper and more horrifying. The laboratory was actually a vast chamber filled with hundreds of containers, each holding what appeared to be a sedated human. "Are they dead?" a technician asked, her voice barely audible. "No," Dr. Patel said, studying the images. "They appear to be in some kind of suspended animation. See the monitoring equipment? They're keeping them alive." "But why?" someone else asked. Elena adjusted the scanner, bringing up the partial Kamaran communication she'd intercepted. According to this, they're extracting something from them. Something in human DNA, specifically adaptive mutations like our radiation resistance. "They're farming humans for genetic material," Kenji said. the xenobiologist in him clinically analyzing even as the human in him recoiled. The revelation left everyone silent for a long moment. "There's something else," Marcus said, pointing to a different section of the communication. "Look at these coordinates. They've visited at least 12 other human outposts before us. And we've never heard from any of them," Elena said quietly. "What about Director Chen?" a young engineer asked. She was still negotiating with them when everything went crazy. As if in answer, their emergency communication system, old and rarely used, crackled to life. "Elena? Anyone?" "This is Chen." The voice was weak and filled with static. Elena grabbed the communicator. "Director, we're here. Where are you? Can you escape?" "No time," Chen's voice replied, weaker now. "Listen carefully. I'm aboard their ship. They're not what they seem. The Cameron keep humans in these containers for experiments. They've done this before, many times." "We know," Elena said. "We saw images. We're hiding in the geological caves with about 36 people. The rest were taken." "Listen." Chen's voice was fading now. "They're coming. The Cameron. They're afraid of something in the caves. The mineral composition disrupts their biosignatures somehow. That's why they haven't come after you yet. Use the... The communication cut off abruptly. Director Chen," Elena called, but there was only silence. Gabriella placed a hand on Elena's shoulder. "She's given us a weapon. The minerals in these caves disrupt their biosignatures." Kenji's eyes widened with sudden understanding. Of course, the high concentration of magnetite and other ferromagnetic minerals in these caves must interfere with their biology or technology somehow. "If the minerals disrupt Cameron biology," Elena said slowly, "then we have a chance to fight back. We can't abandon our people on that ship to be processed." "The minerals aren't exactly portable weapons," Gabriella pointed out. "Then we bring the fight to where the minerals are," Marcus said. "We lure them into the caves." As they began to form a plan, Elena felt something she hadn't experienced in 7 years of sending unanswered messages into space. Hope. For years they had waited for rescue. Now they would have to rescue themselves, and perhaps the rest of humanity from the predators that had found them. Overseer Zerl stood in the Cameron vessel's primary extraction chamber, observing the humans who had been brought aboard. They had been sedated and were being prepared for initial processing. 47 specimens in total from this outpost. Fewer than anticipated, but still a valuable harvest. "Genetic analysis is complete on the first group," reported Sub-Overseer Malin, approaching with a data tablet. "The results are exceptional." Zerl reviewed the information, the amber eyes widening slightly. "The closest thing to surprise a Cameron could express. These adaptation rates exceed our projections," Zerl said. "Their exposure to the planetary radiation has accelerated the very genetic mutations we seek." "Yes, Overseer. Their isolation on this world has created a natural laboratory. The adaptive pressure has activated genetic sequences we've had to artificially stimulate in previous specimens." Zerl moved to one of the suspension chambers, studying the unconscious human within, a female designated as Director Chen according to their records. Initial scans showed her cellular structure had undergone significant modifications in response to the planetary environment. "And the missing specimens?" Zerl asked. 36 humans escaped to the subterranean caverns," Malin reported. "We have determined their location, but the mineral composition of these caves creates complications." "Explain." "The high concentration of ferromagnetic minerals generates fields that interfere with our biosystems and weaponry. Direct pursuit would expose our forces to unacceptable levels of disruption." Zerl considered this information. "They cannot remain in the caves indefinitely. They will need to emerge eventually for supplies or resources." "Yes, Overseer. We have established perimeters at all known exits." The Director's communication. Was it traced? "Yes, Overseer. It was brief and revealed no critical information about our operations. Zerl moved to the ship's observation chamber, looking down at the purple landscape of Proxima Centauri V. The Cameron had visited 17 human outposts across this sector of space. Each harvest had brought them closer to solving the greatest crisis their species had ever faced: genetic degradation from millennia of controlled breeding. Human DNA, with its chaotic variability and remarkable adaptive potential, was the key to their survival. This isolated outpost, forced to adapt to harsh conditions without outside assistance, was perhaps their most valuable find yet. "Begin full extraction procedures on the specimens we have secured," Zerl ordered. "Increase surveillance on the cave system. When the remaining humans emerge, as they must, we will complete our harvest. And if they attempt to resist," Malin asked. "They are isolated, outnumbered, and technologically inferior," Zerl stated. "Their resistance is inconsequential." In the depths of the geological caves, Alina studied the mineral samples they had collected from the deeper chambers. Kenji had analyzed their composition and confirmed they contained high concentrations of magnetite and other ferromagnetic materials. "If these minerals truly disrupt Cameron biology or technology," Alina said, "we need to understand exactly how it works and how we can weaponize it." Marcus had dismantled several research devices, trying to create something that could generate or amplify the disruptive effect. Dr. Patel was reviewing medical scans, looking for any information about how the Cameron physiology might be vulnerable. Gabriella returned from scouting the cave entrances, her expression grim. "They've set up guards at every exit we know of. They're waiting for us too."